He was struck by the size of her diamond. On shore, it was the only thing sparkling as bright as the crests of wave lapping at his feet. Her ring peeked out from behind a row of towel-clad beach chairs, from under the sleeve of her Poochie cover-up, begging to be seen. Rusty had wandered down to the beach upon arrival at the resort, La Colline-sur-Mer, or some such name. His ritual upon starting a new case was to take a walk and soak up the scene. Before profiling his first suspect, he had hoped to at least take a dip in the sea. Not that closing this case wasn't the primary objective of his all-inclusive stay. Rusty had promised his clients an investigation that would put the French police, even Interpol, to shame. For months, the Côte d'Azur killer had remained at large, her crimes covering coffee-stained Provençal tabloids. She was a black widow, elusive and expensive, and the families of her victims had pulled a handsome retainer for her capture. If Rusty played his cards right, this case would turn his career around, restore his practice, pay down his mortgage, kickstart his new life. At the very least, it would put an ocean between him and his ex-wife. On the plane, Rusty had read the translated police reports. The victims shared three qualities: wealth, middle age, and divorce. The resort was teeming with the type, defined by their hairy chests and pinky rings and the line of sports cars straddling the porte cochere. They were not so different from him. He had to admit, upon taking the case, he looked forward to French cuisine and Riviera revelry. After citing his first suspect, Rusty returned to his shaded beach chair to blend in. Nearby, elderly bachelors argued over a deck of cards. Bored honeymooners slept through their couples massage, and a bronzed beauty balanced a powder-white baby on her hip. Rusty heard the clinking of wine glasses at a seaside cafe, and a mingling of voices: French, English, Russian, German, and Portuguese. Even the gulls joined in, gossiping wildly overhead. Rusty sensed he was one of few creatures alone on the beach. If he wanted to blend in, he needed to find a believable companion. When his suspect went for a swim, Rusty studied her through opaque sunglasses. She was not quite the seductress he expected. With her somewhat saggy bottom, her sloping shoulders, and slept-in salon hair, she surveyed the water before diving in, one hand on her waist and the other shading her eyes. Then she raised her arms overhead and flashed the sun a brilliant, show-stopping smile. Rusty stared as she glided gracefully into a wave and then surfaced in a panic, slapping at the water. He sat up in his chair, searching the sand for a lifeguard, but the beach seemed oblivious. He cursed himself for already blowing his cover, then stood and waded into the water to rescue her. "You all right, ma'am?" he called. "You're thrashing around like a drowned cat." "I feel like one," she said, standing up and wiping the salt from her eyes. "I just dove in and lost my ring." "Wedding ring?" Rusty smirked. "If you came over here to flirt, now's hardly the time." "So you are married then?" "Divorced," she said. "Let's call the ring a parting gift." "Well, 2 eyes are better than 1, I guess," Rusty said. 4. Hell, you know what I mean. "If you insist," she said, "though I think a crab's clawing it up as we speak." "Or a clam," Rusty said, "weaving your diamond into a pearl." "Imagine that." Her eyes gleamed. "Hold on, I never said it was a diamond." "A solitaire, right?" Rusty surveyed the bathtub water, clear as glass. The woman watched him slack-jawed as he reached below the surface, fished in the sand, and placed the ring in her outstretched hand. "Still a diamond," she said, wiping away the grime. "Not quite a pearl yet." "We can try again." Rusty snatched the ring from her palm and raised his arm as if to toss it back into an oncoming wave. "Give me that." She lunged after him and pried it from his hands, then splashed off toward shore. Halfway there, she stopped and turned. "I owe you," she said. "Meet me in a couple of hours at the bar." Rusty watched as she gathered her things in a wicker bag, climbed the steps of the hotel, and disappeared behind a billow of linen curtains. Minutes later, she appeared in one of the blue shuttered windows, removing her earrings with her head cocked to the side. He lost sight as she loosened the cover-up from her shoulders and reached to close the blinds. With nothing more to observe, he turned toward the sun-glazed water, took a deep breath, and dove in. When Rusty arrived at the bar, he saw immediately that he was too early. He could tell from the wet bar top that the place had just been refreshed after lunch. He chose a stool and wrestled it free from the brass footrest, lamenting his own eagerness. He had missed a chance to watch his suspect. It was important to observe them, the way they interacted with others, or didn't, when they didn't know they were being watched. He could have watched from the window, waited for her to go down first. He also felt a tinge of concern that maybe she wouldn't show at all. "Que voulez-vous boire?" the barman asked, polishing a glass. "Huh?" Rusty said. "Oh, whiskey avec soda, s'il vous plaît." The barman nodded, and Rusty turned on his stool to wait. The scene at the bar reminded him of his junior high dance, fast forward 30 years. A handful of middle-aged guests had trickled down from the hotel. Men at the bar puffing out their chests, women clustered at tables sharing the day's confidences. Every now and then the guests stole glances at each other, but it was clear they were not interested. They were looking for young things, not like their ex-wives or husbands. They served only as sad reminders to each other and to him of their common situation. Even the pubescent barman seemed to pity them. "Voilà, monsieur," the barman said, handing him his scotch with a sympathetic smile. As Rusty watched the other tables, he felt a tap on his shoulder and turned. It was her, and he attempted to conceal his surprise. There was something different about her. Her hair was smoother, the kinks ironed out. The sun had coaxed freckles on her cheekbones and shoulders, accompanied by a hint of pink. A wrap dress pulled tight around her waist made him think twice about the saggy bottom he had seen on the beach. She was not attractive like the other young women at the resort, with their perfected tans and augmented curves. Everything about her seemed natural, exposed, unreserved, and unconcealed. Too real to be a killer, Rusty concluded. "What is it?" she asked, smiling just as she had on the beach before she took her dive, her face opening up like a child's. Rusty cleared his throat. "Nothing," he said, his voice hoarse. "Cat got your tongue?" "No, just a bit dry." He shook the ice cubes in his glass to alert the barman. "Make it 2, she said. "Actually, make mine straight up." "You don't even know what it is." "Scotch and soda," she said, swirling his glass and smelling the fumes. Her lip curled a little. "The lonely man's drink." "I'm here with you, aren't I?" Rusty took the glass and gulped the last sip. "I didn't say alone. I said lonely." She pulled the bar stool out more gracefully than he had and slid in next to him, her freckled leg brushing against his seersucker pants. The men at the bar glanced at them and raised their eyebrows. He heard one whistle and the other whisper, "Lucky dog." "Connards," she grumbled, her accent believable. "Excuse me?" "Bastards." "Oh, come on, they're just having fun." "Half of them think I'm a call girl," she said. "The other half don't care. They assume I can be bought for the right price. A piece of jewelry, perhaps." "Why is that?" "Because I'm here alone," she said. "Like you." "Hey, I'm no call girl," Rusty said. "But how much you got on you?" She turned her dress pockets inside out. They both laughed. The bartender came by with their glasses of scotch and a flute of champagne. "Courtesy of messieurs," the barman said, nodding toward the bastards at the end of the bar. They raised their glasses and shouted, "Cheers!" "If only I were that smooth," Rusty said. She pursed her lips and took both glasses, nodding graciously toward the bastards. Rusty thought he recognized genuine disappointment in her face. She downed the scotch in one gulp and chased it with a sip of champagne. "So," Rusty said, attempting to change the mood, "staying here long?" If we're doing small talk, we start with names. All right, I'm Rusty, he said. I'm Rita, and I'm just here for the season. The way she said it, the season, seemed so aristocratic, so continental. Does that make you French? He asked. Mais non, she said. Can't you tell by my accent? Connards, he mimicked her. Could have fooled me, I'm no expert. But you are a detective. I never said that. Rusty set down his glass, thinking to himself, shit. I saw you watching me from the beach. Who's the detective now? He hoped she was just flirting. A woman knows when a man is looking. A woman like you must be used to it, Rusty said. Oh, come on, I'm not that pretty, she laughed. Nice try, though. Hey, the connards seemed to agree. To them, I'm the only thing in this bar without wrinkles and with a pussy. Rusty snorted into his scotch. She took it from his hands and took a swig, then twirled the glass on the bar. What do you say we go for a walk? The next morning, Rusty woke with a freshman year hangover, and without the 100-euro note he had kept in his wallet. He frowned to discover that he was still fully clothed and had tracked sand into the bed. He felt some inside his boxers prickling his skin, but still, he had a sinking feeling that his pants had stayed on all night. Upon further inspection of the room, he was also missing his watch and a pair of cufflinks he had stored in a drawer in case the investigation required him to attend any black tie affairs. He laughed at his own optimism. What he did find in the empty cufflink case was a note scrawled on a napkin. I know who you're looking for, but I won't help if you go to the pigs.